So the reason why I was not so emotionally intelligent that time was because I stayed up until 1:30 reading a book. That's my own dang fault. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk. This is the place where we have very uncomfortable conversations while wearing the world's most comfortable underwear. And by the way, speaking of comfortable underwear, we got some new sets that are going to be coming out soon. This is our, I think this is going to be our TikTok set. And basically, we made this set like at the lowest price point we could to get you guys in these and get you trying them out. I actually wore them yesterday. Oh, so smooth. These are the nylon. Incredibly, incredibly smooth. Very comfortable. They did not ride up my legs, which they normally do ride up my legs, which was interesting. So yeah, great boxer briefs. Suggest you try them. Now, they're not available at the they're not available at the link down below. That'll be at some point. But hey, search the rest of our story if you want that. Okay, this episode, we are going over emotional intelligence part 3, kind of like takeaways, practical application. That's what this week was about. And we got some stories for you. So without further ado, Tilghman, take it away. You had a really good story.
Yeah. So in regards to emotional intelligence, man, it's a journey for sure. You know, I used to be the guy who was not, I say a journey, Chris is laughing.
It's a journey.
A journey of just like, finding yourself, right? No, it's one of those things where, we talked about it in some of the last episodes, like what's formed my emotional intelligence, how have I become better and what I'm doing now. And it's just like, last week we were on a road trip, a really long one, all the way from Wichita, Kansas to Orlando, Florida, in a car with a 3-year-old. And, most dads are like jaw dropping right now, like, oh my gosh, how did he do that? There's, in regards to application of what we talked about in the last episodes, though, it's just like, we were at the Disney parks and it was hot and muggy and, little man was getting a little tired and stuff. And, the old me would be like, oh, don't be tired, just walk, don't do this. You're just like getting frustrated because I was tired and hot too. Right.
You got legs, they work.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's 3 years old. He's learning how to walk. I'm like, look at all these other kids, they're walking around, but that didn't work. And then, he was like, oh, I just want to be carried. And I was like, no, Mickey Mouse is walking. He goes, Mickey Mouse is walking? I was like, yeah, Mickey Mouse is walking. So he's like, okay, I'll walk like Mickey Mouse. And so, he did pretty good. And there was times where I still had to pick him up, put him on my shoulders and stuff. And, Disney parks make for long days. So of course I wasn't going to be, it's just like, and it was a fun long day too. There were some times where he was on my shoulders and I swear my traps like grew like 2 more inches upwards after this trip. It was crazy, man. So, but looking at, the past me or like the old me, mind you, this is our first kid. But knowing how my patience was 5 or 6 years ago, I probably would have just like, be like, no, come on, get over here. Stay right there. I'm going away. See you. Bye. And just like leave them there crying like most parents might, or I say most, but some parents might do to get their kid to go with them. But I didn't do that. And I looked at that as like a progression upward in my emotional intelligence, just in regards to like knowing how my past self was and knowing that I'm getting better now. And my patience has grown since like 5 or 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago as well. And then just a few more instances, it was, like I said, it was a long road trip and little man had a lot to drink one day and we were on the way home from Atlanta, actually visiting Chris and his family. That was fun. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
and,
good to have you.
And, it was, we were stopping like every 20 or 30 miles just to use the bathroom and stuff. And it was frustrating. Yeah. And, me just trying to get to Memphis and, get to the hotel and stuff. It's like, oh, this is taking forever. It added time onto the drive. And I feel like I would have been a lot more frustrated, but I looked at it. I was like, I've been there. I've had to use the bathroom a lot. I was a kid at one point begging my dad to stop, and which my dad most of the time did. And, or it was in a water bottle, but, a 3-year-old doesn't have very good aim. So you're trying to teach and, and keep on going. So it was one of those things where I could have grown frustrated. I could have been like, oh, just go in the back of the car. I don't care. Just pee yourself or, just saying some off the wall rude stuff. And, I thought, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be patient. So, even though it added like an extra hour onto the drive, we made the stops. And so he could do his thing and, keep on going on. And, side note, I had to use the bathroom every time he went to. So it worked out.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
but it's seeing the positive progression in the emotional intelligence where, like I said, 5 or 6 years ago, it would have been just like explosive, scoffing, just like making fun of, just stupid comments that would just be negative progression, if that makes sense. So it's nice to see my personal growth, and then the wife notices it too. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad. I'm glad for you. So I'm gonna do the flip side of that coin, where like last night I was not so smart. Um, and so like I was I was coming up on this and I was like, man, I was thinking about it like yesterday. I was like, man, I'm pretty emotionally intelligent. I can't really think of any stories of like where I haven't done so well. And
Hmm.
then last night, um, my daughter's reading this book, and it's one of those kids' books, like like youth fiction. It's one of those fantasy books, and I'm reading it to her over the course of weeks. Every night we read a chapter. Well, I come to find out it's actually a pretty good book. And basically I couldn't put it down last night and I read through the whole thing and I got done at 1:30 this morning. Well, God bless my son, he proceeds to wake up crying at, let's say, 4, and he has like he's old enough to just like come and lay in our bed. He's old enough to go to the bathroom by himself. But
Right.
he lays in his bed, "Mommy!" and he cries a little bit and then, "Mommy!" And I didn't lose it on him, but I did walk in there pretty angry and say, "Son, you have 2 legs and you could just get up and come into our bed. You don't have to lay here and scream. Just get up and come into our room." And like part of me, as I'm angry about this, realizes this is not his fault. Like he's 3, it's gonna be okay. And I was like, all right. And so I bring him to go to the bathroom so that way, that's taken care of. And even as I was like carrying him to the room, I was gonna let him walk, but then I had this picture of like, no, that's he needs to know that I love him. Like even though I'm upset, he needs to know that I love him. So I pick him up and I hold him and I'm bringing him into the room and I start giving words to how I'm feeling. And I say, "Son, you have 2 legs. You could walk into mommy and daddy's room at any point. You don't have to lie there and scream and cry. I'm tired. That is why I'm angry. So please next time do this." And I was able to sort of like bring the intensity level down.
Right.
So kind of like I was thinking about it, like, all right, lessons learned from this. Being emotionally intelligent does have like your bodily state has an effect on your emotional intelligence. So the reason why I was not so emotionally intelligent that time was because I stayed up until 1:30 reading a book. That's my own dang fault. So lesson learned there. I need to change myself in order to be a better example for my son. But then kind of on the flip side of that, lessons learned was like, wow, like I used to march in and be a lot more upset with my children when they would do stuff like that. But giving like saying words to how you feel, like starting to explain like what's it they call it? They call it something like megaphoning or microphoning or something or narration or something like that in
Hmm.
parenting, stuff. But this idea of saying like, here's why I'm upset. Here's how I feel. Might seem kind of stupid, kind of basic, but that's how you can begin to improve by actually saying words to how you feel. So, guys, maybe that's something that you can sort of take away. Maybe start to narrate when you are freaking out, like maybe start to narrate why you are feeling the way that you're feeling. And then it's amazing how well it works. So, highly recommend. Tillman, you had something to say.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I was actually just on Facebook and I was reading some quotes. I follow some of these motivational quote stuff, and I saw this quote and it said, "It sucks right now. It's hard right now, but just keep in mind, you know, your new life is going to cost you your old one. And so that's one thing I've really taken away and really have tried to apply in my personal life. Like, hey, you know, there's going to be times where like, you know, and mind you, there was times I was frustrated on the car ride home. Of course, you know, you've been driving for 20 plus hours, but just taking away from those lessons and realizing like, hey, if I was patient, knowing that I had like few hours of sleep, or just really tired and just like cramped up into a car all week, I can be patient when I'm feeling good too.
Mhm.
And so it's like you look back on your old life and you think, man, I'm so glad I didn't blow up or like have a bad reaction to these situations. And so
Mhm.
anytime things get rough, I just look at it like, hey, you know, I can react like I used to and go back to my old ways. I can, you know, keep
Mhm.
on sacrificing my old self to continue to give birth to my new self and keep
Mhm.
progressing forward. So
Yeah, like a part of you needs to die. And
exactly.
it feels like death because in a way it is death.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like you're holding on to this way of doing things. It's like, no, this is how it works. And you don't want to let go.
Hmm.
But guys, yes, I love it. Like you've got to let go of your old way of doing things. Like it's okay. That part of you can die. You won't die, but you'll actually be surprised by like what you find when you let that part of yourself die. I hope I kind of summed that up well for those who maybe didn't understand that quote. So guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We hope that you liked this series on emotional intelligence. Next week, we're going to be speaking with Eli Coffey and hearing some of his story. You don't know of him yet, but he is a really good example of what it means to overcome when everything is set against you. You don't want to miss that. In the meantime, if you loved this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe get some underwear in the link down below because it's honestly the world's most comfortable underwear. So, see you guys next time. Talk to you later.